Welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy Big Canucker here. And so now we're going to have a look at the face that was made for radio. So I was told that maybe the arms video and the hands video, has its time and place. But I think I want to start mixing things up a little bit, showing you what makes my world tick and, showing you a few things. I really enjoy having you guys come into my home all the time, and I enjoy, let you know we're trying to get this all done up. There we go. I really enjoy you guys coming into my home and showing you what makes my world tick, and here's a new way to take care of that. All right, so what I want to show today is this is my sharpening system. This is what I use to mostly sharpen. Now I've showed you guys the beginning setup with my ceramic Spyderco ceramic stones and my king water stones and stuff like that. But if I want to put a mirror polish edge on something that is razor sharp, lots of times what I'll end up doing is I will use my KME system. So what I'm going to show you is what my KME system is, and what some of the modifications that I've done, and some of the things I look forward to doing, in the future. All right, so let's have a look at this. I carry everything in a case. Now, I'm not too sure. You can't see that how it is right now, but I'll tell you what. Let's get this keyboard out of the way here. We'll put that down here because we're in my office, which is absolutely messy, and I'm running out of room, and here we go. All right, so let us see if we can angle that down a little bit, and I'll show you what I've got here. Oh, please, this is my first time giving this a go, so please forgive me. All right, so I carry everything in a case that I've completely hollowed out, and so that gives you an idea here of everything can go in one little spot. I'm not sure if I really like the way that is kind of looking like that. Is that a better way to see this? I think so. That's a little bit better way to see this. All right, so let's go through this. Of course, I've got my two-sided tape. This is a really thin two-sided tape. It's Tessa tape, and I always carry some of that. Now, you can see absolutely how thin this is. And now what I use that for is I got a bunch of glass blanks. And so what I'll end up doing is I'll take a piece of this two-sided tape, and then I'll put my diamond paper on here. And it adheres the diamond lapping film to the glass blanks. And all right, I'll get to that, okay? But while it's here, in my head, I like to have things that are stropping with a little bit of give. So that's why I like to strop on something that's close, like a balsa wood, or, I don't like to strop straight onto the glass, because even though, you're getting a nice straight edge, I like to have that little bit of feedback. So if you've got something underneath your diamond lapping film, like even a small, I don't know what the thickness of this would be. I mean, we're talking, point something of a millimeter. Even that little bit of give is enough to give you a little bit of feedback when you're stropping. You don't want to press too hard, because when you strop, you'll round over your edge. This is thin enough that it gives you a little bit of feedback, a little bit of give to it, but without real seriously damaging your edge. Okay, so all right. So now this is what I have here for the base for my KME system. It was just. And I grabbed an aluminum plate from one of my customers, it was in his junk drawer or a junk pile, and then here was a base that I had used on my old Lansky system that a coworker had made for me. And so what I ended up doing is I just took some wicked epoxy, and I epoxied this, and I threw a couple of self-tapping screws, and then I cut off. This was actually a long bar. And I just basically cut it off, and I ground it out a little bit, and I put a 7/16 nut inside there. And I had the same customers out at a Tabor, at the machine shop in Tabor. Well, we'll do that. We'll throw that up there so you can see what exactly it does. So I had them make me up a nice little threaded stainless steel rod that can thread right in there. And it provides a huge amount of stability and versatility too as well. So now normally when I'm sharpening this, so that's my base here. Now I know KME sells its own wooden base and stuff like that, but I just wanted something that was my own and that suited me a little bit better. Plus, I've got some great friends at East End Iron in Tabor. That's the name of the shop. You know, Trevor and Spence. You know, they look after me all the time if I need something done just on the at lunch hour. So if you've got a machining project and you're in Southern Alberta, go see George, the shop foreman at East End Iron. I can't speak highly enough about those guys. Anyways, so that's my base here, and of course you've got your KME standard KME grip, which goes on there. And now I've actually got this machined so tight that there's, you know, because some of this, I'm not sure about the regular KME system, but I know that there can be some rocking. This is solid and stable. Now what I normally do is I take this and I clamp it down to my table, so this is not moving at all. It is rock solid. Okay, so once I've got that, I've got I mean, you gotta have it. This is just something I got off of Amazon. I think it was 25 bucks. It is just an angle finder with a magnetic base. You know, there is no, on the KME you've got, you know, 25 to 30 degrees. There is some increments on here, but they're not, because you're dealing with a triangle and you're dealing with, depending upon when you have this locked in there, the angle can be so different depending upon the width of your blade. So you want to make sure that you measure this all the time. And I just grabbed a inexpensive piece that I just customized. I just cut a little square here, and I take this and simply put it on there, and then I stick my angle to it, zero it out, and then I make my adjustments. So, and then I put it on there, right? So once I've got it zeroed out, put it on there, and then I can make my adjustments. So simple, easy peasy. Get that out of the way. That's, whoops, on off button. And I will be doing a sharpening video here once I get going a little bit more. All right, of course, got to have a couple of Sharpies in there because you want to mark up the edge to know that you're hitting the. So if you run your Sharpie here, you've got this in here, and you do one little swipe, and it'll show you. It'll wear off the Sharpie mark, and it'll show you if you're hitting the apex of the edge. And you definitely want to do that. Otherwise, you're just sharpening for nothing. That's if you want to match an edge. But if you want to totally reprofile something, this, you know, put the Sharpie on there too as well. Okay, this is my other thing that is kind of custom for this KME system. Now the KME originally came with this particular stone holder here. This is the factory one. I ended up putting a knob on the end because, you know, and the other thing I did is I put a thin metal strip on the top. I glued it to the top so my angle cube would fit perfectly on there and it would stick to there magnetically. And I also hated grabbing a hold of this because it was just a little knurled knob. It wasn't a big ball. So you know that I prefer big balls over knurled knobs. Just to let you know that, just in case you wanted to. So that was the original one. Now this one here is a universal stone holder from, oh darn it. It's the guys, I think Gritomatic is where I got this from. And it wasn't super expensive. I don't remember what it is, but the thing that I really love about this with the KME system is it allows me to use the KME stones because you can adjust this, and I can also use the Edge Pro stones too as well. So you can use both sets of stones with this stone and any in between. I could even put a Lansky stone on here if I wanted to, because this does just basically, I have it marked out, you know, when I want to have a Edge Pro stone, I put it there. I'm not sure if you can see. And then if I want a Edge Pro stone, you know, you put it right here. So that just, and then you just, there's a little knob here. and you just lock it into place. And there is a nice little spring clip here too as well. So yeah, so Gritomatic wasn't super expensive, makes all the difference in the world, because there are so many stones out there and different price stones. So this is what come with this kit. Now this kit came with diamond stones, and I would suggest getting the diamond stones because they will do all your super steels. So this one here is from the 140 grit, a 300 grit, and a 600 grit, and then it finishes off with a 1500 grit. So it does give you 4 with the kit just in itself. Now, the other thing I've done is I ended up picking this off of Amazon here. It is a 2-sided stone. It's the thickness is different, and there is a thickness compensator, but we'll get into this. But anyway, so this is 3,000 grit on this side, and they say it's 10,000 grit on this side. And I do use this to finish off once in a while. Really, really nice. The other thing I did is I went and got a... where is that? Is it here? No, it's underneath there. So I ended up getting sheets of lapping film. And I cut those. So I ended up getting a friend of mine, or a customer actually, at Benchmark Glass. They ended up cutting me a bunch of blanks. It's really, really inexpensive for the size of what the KME original stones are. So they are the exact same thickness as the KME stones. And then I just put some 2-sided Tessa tape on there, and then I just put the lapping film on there, and that allows me to get super mirror polished edges. The other thing that I use too as well on my diamond blanks is my company sells a automotive wet dry sandpaper, and I have a roll in 1000 grit and a roll in 2500 grit, and I just spritz a little bit of water on there. And ours is a self-adhesive sandpaper, and I just stick it to the diamond or to the glass, and I use this as a lapping film too as well, and it does do an absolutely fantastic job, and it lasts a really, really long time. So you want to use things that are not necessarily 100% in the knife world. I mean, experiment out there. If it's a sandpaper, I mean, there's lots of guys who put some wicked edges on knives just simply using sheets of sandpaper and a glass square. Like Kyle Noseworthy, he's out in Nova Scotia, I do believe, and he puts some absolutely wicked edges just using his sandpaper and a little glass pad to make it flat. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust this a little bit just because the top of my head is getting cut off and I'm tired of slouching. You know what? It's not going to work. All right. Screw it. We'll just leave it like that. Maybe we'll slouch. All right. So I've got that with a whole bunch of glass blanks, and I've got my sheets of lapping film. I think they probably came out of China, and there was, I do believe there was 10 different grits. They were 8.5 by 11 inch sheets, just like the regular size of paper. So I'm going to get a ton of lapping on there, and it was $24. So I'm not sure what the KME lapping paper is, how expensive it is, but I'm just saying, get out there and search, try a few things out. You never know what's going to stick unless you throw it to the wall. All right, now, I don't even know if that's a saying. Okay, so the other thing I ended up doing is, before I wanted to try the Edge Pro system out too, but the Edge Pro system, I mean, it's quite expensive. And I ended up getting a clone just to see if I would like it. I think it was the same thing. It was under $30. And it came with some stones that were absolutely terrible, but I wanted to see if I liked that type of system, and I found that I didn't like holding the knife on there. And no knock on the Edge Pro guys out there. There's some Edge Pro people can do wonderful, wonderful edges on there. I just don't have the dexterity to hold it with my left hand and sharpen and then switch around to my right hand. But to each his own. Please, if you're an Edge Pro guy out there, I'm not knocking you. But while I was there, I ended up grabbing just some inexpensive diamond stones, and I like to try the inexpensive stuff first. I mean, our hobby is expensive in its own, so these were $20 for 3 stones, and they were 240, 600, and 1,000 grit, and they did a fantastic job. I mean, I have sharpened 40 knives on these 3 stones, and they're still going for 20 bucks. I mean, that's like one Edge Pro stone. So I'm not saying you're always going to get that kind of value for the money, and you get what you pay for sometimes, but I took a flyer and it worked really, really well. And with my old POS Edge Pro stones, same thing, as I took some sandpaper and some lapping film, and I made myself some different stones, because this is the 1500 of the Ruxin, I think is what it's called, and they're terrible stones, but this was the 1500, and it's not too bad if you get a little bit of a slurry going on it and you're sharpening something that's not a super steel. This is not bad. So I eventually will get some Edge Pro stones, because I really like the way I like that bigger length, and it gives you a little bit longer stroke, and helping you do the job faster. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this innuendos. All right. Now the other thing I have in here is just a little slip joint knife, a little CRKT, and what I use that for is because I like to tape up my knife handles and the edges, because sometimes, when you're sharpening, you don't want the edge here to, hit a stone, so you'll put some tape around the handles. You don't want a grit to fall inside the pivot, so you'll kind of tape that up. And I use this to just simply trim off all that tape. And it just does a really, really nice job for me. Yeah, I mean, it's an Art Deco is what this is called. It's just a neat little slip joint, and I might do a review on this knife, because it is damn razor sharp, and it is a good looking little knife. Didn't think it was that small when I actually got it. It was very expensive, 20 bucks or something like that, and it showed up, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is tiny. But alas, everything can't be huge. Okay, and then of course I've got a little bit of bottle of water here, a little bitty bottle of water, just to sometimes I want to clean off my stones. Most of the times I sharpen dry, but sometimes, with the Ruxin stone there, the 1500 grit, I want to put a little bit of a slurry on there. So that is my setup, and of course I've got everything in a lovely, awesome case that I've got the foam insert that I've custom built. I don't know how custom it is. It just seems everything fits, and it's by my desk. So if you like what you saw here, please give me the the thumbs up and the subscribe. Help me to spread my voice. I'd appreciate it very, very much. I've really, really appreciated all the comments that you guys have been giving out there. You make me laugh, you make me think, and you make me learn something. And it's been a wonderful day if you learned something. So I hope you like this. Please like and subscribe. Please also, what do we say here? Please keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.